Hey everybody! We are focusing on the digestive system in this video. So we're going to learn the structure of it and the path that food takes as we eat it and it gets digested. And then lastly, we'll be looking at teeth in different species. So first of all, let's look at the main organs that are involved in taking our food into our body and digesting it. And here we've got a picture of a digestive system, and we'll look at that as we go. So the first place, obviously, where our food starts is the mouth. It's the first organ in the digestive system. It's where we take our food in, but actually we start to digest it in the mouth already. The next organ the food goes down is the tube to the stomach, and this is called the esophagus. Spelt with an O, esophagus. So that's where the food travels down from our mouth into our stomach, which is the next organ. The stomach contains lots and lots of acids and chemicals that break our food down. Then we have the small intestine. This is a really long tube that's all wrapped up tightly together. And this is where the food goes after the stomach, and the food gets absorbed into our body here in the small intestine. And it also gets broken down and digested some more. So then after food goes through the small intestine, it goes into the large intestine, which is the green one here. So food isn't absorbed anymore once it got to the large intestine, but water is absorbed into our body in the large intestine. Then, after it's travelled through there, food particles have now become unwanted food, so basically wastes. And so when food gets to this organ, which is called the rectum, it's just ready to be released from the body. And then when we need to get rid of that waste, when we go to the toilet, all that waste comes out of the last organ in the digestive system, which is called the anus. So when we go to the toilet, that is the organ controlling it. All right. So those are the organs in order of how our food goes through them in the digestive system. So the mouth is the first one, then the esophagus, then the stomach, then it goes through the small intestine, then the large intestine, then to the rectum, and then to the anus and out of our bodies. Okay, so they're the 7 main organs, but there are some other organs in the digestive system which help us to actually break down our food, even though the food doesn't travel in them. And these are called accessory organs, or accessory digestive organs. Okay, the first one is the liver. The liver is really important in digestion, and we'll learn more about these later on. We also have the gall bladder, which is it's attached to the liver. It's this really tiny organ sitting between the liver and the stomach, where the liver is one of the biggest organs, the gallbladder is one of our smallest. And then hidden behind the stomach and the large intestine, we've got this yellow one at the back here, and this is called the pancreas. It's long, it looks like a bit like a sausage, and it's also important for helping digest our food. So we'll learn more about these accessory organs later on, but the most important thing is to know the order of organs that our food travels through, from the start in our mouth to the very end at the anus. All right. Next, we're looking at different types of teeth, because different animals have different types of teeth based on their diet. All right. So first of all, we need to know the names of the different types of teeth that are in animals. And there are 4 different types. So here they are here, and we've color-coded them as well. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first ones, which are blue here, these are at the front of your mouth, and every animal's mouth, and they're called incisors. So they're really thin and narrow at the top here, and that's because they help us to break into different foods, to grab them, and to slice them apart. So incisors are for slicing. The orange ones, which tend to be behind the incisors, are called canines. And canines are the most pointy teeth, and they're really useful for grabbing into meat and for tearing it. So really useful for meat, also good for other foods too that need to be teared off whatever you're eating. And then the premolars and the molars both have a similar function. They're the big and flat teeth towards the back of your mouth. And they're wide and flat, and they're really good for chewing foods and breaking them up. That's the job of the molars and the premolars. So there are 3 different jobs here that our teeth can do, and they've got a specific shape, like we can see. And so that means different types of animals are going to have different numbers of all these teeth, depending on the diet and the foods that they're eating. So let's look at carnivores firstly. You can see this animal here. I think it's a dog, but all carnivores have similar teeth to this one. So what you can see is they've got some pretty sharp incisors at the front. And then they've also got really big and sharp canines as well. Large and sharp canines. So that means these teeth are really good for slicing and for tearing whatever food they're eating. And because it's a carnivore, that means these teeth help it to tear meat off whatever animal they're eating and to slice it up so it can get into their mouth. And then once the food's in their mouth, they've got premolars and they've got molars, which are going to chew up that meat. But you can even see, even the premolars are quite sharp as well. So they've got sharp premolars, and then they've got flat molars for doing the chewing. So carnivore's teeth help it to eat what it needs to. Okay, next, herbivores. Herbivores have flat incisors, and they barely have any canines at all because they don't need to tear any meat because they're not eating any meat. So they have flat incisors, which help them to grab onto grass or leaves and pull it off the plant into their mouth. And then they have lots of flat, they have 2 big rows here of flat premolars and flat incisors, which again helps them to chew and to grind that plant material, because grass and leaves are really chewy, so they can grind it and break it down as much as they can. So herbivores' teeth suit their diet as well. And then lastly, omnivores. Well, we have teeth sort of halfway between the two because we need to eat plant material and we need to eat meat as well. So we have pretty flat incisors, just like a herbivore, which helps us to slice off plants that we're eating. We have medium-sized canines, because we still eat meat and it's useful to tear off meat sometimes when we're eating it. And then we have medium-sized and quite flat molars and premolars as well, because that's going to help us to chew plants and meat, whatever we're eating at the time. Okay, so now we can see that different animals have different types of teeth based on their diet.